Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a really easy poncho. Now the fabric I used is something called platitudes, and you will find it at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. And I chose it because it's easy to make fringe. So as you're looking at this poncho, you will notice that there's fringe around almost all of the edges. In a moment, I will give you several different options you can do for either making the fringe or not making the fringe. Okay, let's get started. The amount of fabric you need all depends on how long you want this poncho to be. So you need to measure the length that you want it to be. So place a tape measure up over the center of your shoulder and then measure how far down you would like that poncho to be. Maybe you just want it at the hip or mid-thigh, or maybe you want it really, really long. Then you're going to multiply it times 2, so let's say it's 30 inches. Then you're going to add another 3 inches, and then so when you get that all added up, this comes out to about 1 3/4 yards. Yours may be more or less depending on the length. If you're going to use the Joann's Platitude fabric, the width is 45 inches, and this is real important you understand that it's 45 inches wide. So when you purchase your fabric, it's folded here, you have raw edges on both ends, and your selvage edges are down here. The selvage edge has a finished edge on it. In other words, it won't unravel. So when you look closely at the Platitudes fabric, it actually has a 1/4 inch wide fringe all along those selvage edges. It's at this point you need to decide if you want to make the fringe on all the edges or you still want to keep this fringe. This fringe edge, by the time we're done, will wind up on the sides of the poncho. So it'll have a really nice look. Your raw edges will wind up at the very bottom of the poncho, near your legs or over your legs. So if you don't want to make your own fringe, you would have to finish the 2 raw edges off. So how you would do that is do a machine overcast stitch, and I'll show you that in a moment, and then you would fold those edges under and then stitch them down. So this is a sample of an overcast stitch. So look on your machine or in your user's manual to see if you have something like this. If you don't have this particular one, if you have a computerized sewing machine, you will have some type of overcast stitches in your machine and probably 2 or 3 different ones. Just select any one of those and do that over your raw edges. Now, if you want to make your own fringe, it's really, really easy. There's no sewing or special cutting involved in making your own fringe. So in order to do that, you first need to cut both selvage edges off at the bottom. So this is a sample of what your fringe would look like. I made mine a little more than a 1/2 inch. I've even made some of my ponchos with a full inch of fringe. So all you need to do is go to the end and begin pulling the threads out. You'll probably mostly be pulling out 1 thread at a time. If you try to pull more threads than 1 or 2, it's going to get jammed up and kind of become a little bit of a mess. So just be patient and just pull 1 or 2 strands out of a time. So you're going to go to all of your edges and do that. So no matter what technique you're going to do, with or without the fringe, you want your fabric unfolded. So this is where the selvage edges were, or if you're keeping the selvage edges, this is where they would be. Now, for all of you, no matter what version you're doing, you want to take one of the raw edges, fold it over towards the other raw edge. So now you have a folded edge right here. This is your shoulder and neck area. So an arm is going to be coming out on each side here. This is where your selvage edges are or would have been. So if you've cut off your selvage edges, you're now going to have raw edges all the way around. I hope this isn't confusing you. So your legs will be coming out down here at the bottom. Now you're going to take the edges on each side. This is where your selvage edges would have been or are, depending on the version you're doing. Take it and fold it where all of the selvage edges would have been or are. So now you have folded edges up here, selvage edges all on one side, and raw edge of the fabric here. So up here at the folded edges, you're going to take a straight pin and just put it right in this corner right here. This is marking the center where your neck will be. And then once you've done that, unfold it. On each side of the top center pin, place a pin 1.5 inches away on each side of the center pin. These pins mark a 3-inch wide opening that will go down the center of the poncho. Cut out that 3-inch wide area from the top folded edge to the bottom edge. Unfold the fabric. Go to the top edge of the opening. Now you're going to use something that is round or curve and place it 1/2 inch above the top edge of the opening. Use scissors to cut out that little curved area. Do an overcast stitch covering the raw edges of the opening all the way around. Last, fold the edges over to the inside and stitch it in place using a straight stitch. Now this is how the neck area looks. So you'll notice that the curve actually goes more over towards the back. It's supposed to do that so that it does, so that it will more comfortably fit around your neck. And now you have this opening and it goes all the way down to this bottom area right here. So you're either going to have the fringe or you're going to have the edges folded under if you decided not to make the fringe. On the sides, you have an option of just leaving it open. For me, I don't like to do that because when the wind starts to blow, it blows the edges up. So I like to leave a really wide opening up here, and you can change this width to whatever you want it to be. But I went in about 1.5 to 2 inches from the fringe. You could just come in just 1/2 inch from the fringe if you like. There's no rule on this, so you can really do whatever you want. So then I used a matching thread and stitched it all the way down, and I stopped a few inches. You can stop 3 or 4 inches, maybe 5 inches, and have a little slit down here. Let me get this apart and show you what I mean by that. See, so you can have a little slit. So this is just an option you can do, or just leave this step out. Now there's many different ways you could do this front area, especially if you want something to keep it closed in front of you. So I recommend you get something like this. I used to call them sweater guards, but if you just go in and enter frog closure, you'll see these, all types of closures that will show up. Most of them are like cording, but this is a really nice little thing to put on here and makes your poncho look very decorative. So they just clip on at each end and you can move them wherever you want. Well, I hope you enjoyed this poncho tutorial. Now I have many other ways to make ponchos, so I do have tutorials on them. You don't have to use the platitude fabric. You can use fleece is another good option. So I'm going to have a playlist down below your YouTube screen that you can click on, and then you can go and view the various ponchos that I have. Also, I'll have my sewing tips of the week. Down there, that's a great way to learn how to sew, is watch those tips. You will learn so much about sewing. So if you're just getting started, make sure you check those links out. Now don't forget to follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.